Could someone explain to me the appeal of buying a vehicle from a dealership? I mean, I know it's, you can buy a new car. That's really the only place you can buy like a brand new car with 0 miles, but there's really no value there. You're paying oftentimes 20, 30, 40% above what the market value of the car is at a dealership. And I mean, I just seen all these videos on trucks that can't sell, cars that are over, $100,000 trucks, new trucks that are over $100,000. Who is buying these cars? If you've bought a new car recently, um, why did you buy it from a dealership? I can get it if you're a wealthy person, if you make it just a lot of money and you don't want to mess with a used car, you don't want to mess with the private person, like buying it off Craigslist or Facebook. You don't want to buy a used car even from a dealership and you have enough money. I think that's a small percentage of people that just say, I don't care, I'm going to buy a new car. And they drop 70 to $100,000 on a SUV or a truck. But for people that are not rich and you're going into debt to finance a new car, what's going through your head? I'm curious why people do that. Some people, it might be, I want to have a new car. I want to make sure I'm safe. I want it to have four-wheel drive for the winter, whatever. But a lot of these new cars are just not selling. They're too expensive. Okay. The payment is sometimes $1,000 a month or more on just a normal car, not even something with four-wheel drive or something fancy. And I don't know. When you go into a dealership, you know that it's such an uncomfortable feeling, right? I've never bought a new car, but I see videos and of course, you know how it works when you go into that environment. The dealership is there to make money. They're there to get you into, like a financing arrangement that's going to be advantageous to them. And it's just uncomfortable, the whole thing. They want to take your current car and give you like no money for it. And then they confuse a lot of consumers, I think, with trying to get them a payment that works, but the consumer doesn't really understand what they're actually paying for the car. And as soon as they drive off the lot, maybe they paid $40,000 for a car. If the customer wanted to sell that car on the open market, they might only be able to get $30,000. Just the minute they drive it off the lot, they lost $10,000, right? If you buy a used car, I mean, I've made a couple different videos on the cars I have, even from years ago. I have a 2015 Honda Accord that was a rebuilt title car, so it was in an accident, and it was repaired, right? I think it just had a collision on the passenger side door, but it was all professionally repaired. And it had 18,000 miles on it when I bought it, and it was 2 years old. And I paid less than $14,000 for that car. That car is still worth about the same amount of money if I wanted to sell it. Again, it has a rebuilt title, so it's a little bit harder to sell. But if I wanted to sell that car today, I could probably still get, $11,000-$12,000 for it. And it has 70,000 miles on it now. So I've driven it for 7 years. I haven't put a ton of miles on it, 50,000 miles. And it's still worth roughly what I paid for it. So, you have to take some small amount of risk, but, buying from a private person, potentially buying a rebuilt title car, but even if you buy it from a private person, a clean title car, you're still going to pay way, way, way less than you would at a dealership. And the dealership might have some small warranty for you or whatever, but the amount of money that you're going to pay, if I wanted to go buy that car back in 2017, a Honda Accord that was 2 years old from a dealership, I probably would have paid $10,000 more, or maybe even more than that. Maybe even close to $30,000 for that car back, in 2017. So I just don't know who's buying new cars. You know, again, I would think that most people are uncomfortable going into debt or having $800, $900, $1,000 car payments on just a car, right? You know, it's a depreciating asset, and you know, you still have costs that go along with just the car payment. You have to pay insurance, you have to pay fuel, transportation. Okay, so it's expensive to operate a vehicle, no matter what vehicle it is, because there's expenses. You know, tabs, yearly tabs you have to pay. So there's expenses that go along with every vehicle that you have, regardless of if it's $1,000 car or a $50,000 car. So if you have $1,000 car payment on top of all those other expenses, it becomes really quite onerous. It's like very expensive to just have a vehicle. My other car is a Saturn. I have a manual stick shift Saturn that has 125,000 miles on it now. But that car cost me $900. The entire car was $900. I've had basically no problems with it at all. I think I had to replace like a couple fuses and one $20 part that monitored some engine pressure or something in the, I forget what it was called, but pretty simple to replace, you know, and I've had the car for like 2.5 years. So it's out there. I mean, you can buy, again, it has no features. Like, it doesn't have air conditioning, it doesn't have power windows, it doesn't have, it's very, very basic. Roller windows. It does have an aftermarket deck, so it does have Bluetooth and everything, but it was $900, you know, so you can find cars that are good deals and own the car for basically what a 1 monthly payment would be. You know, $900. A lot of people have $900 a month car payments just on their normal car. And then maybe you had to put 20% down, so you had to pay, I don't know, $10,000, and then you're paying $900 a month for a car that loses, you know, 10% of its value a year, sometimes even more. So, you know, if anyone's watching this, why do you buy it? Again, I get it if you have the money. If you have the money, it doesn't matter. There's no point to even talk about it, because it's not going to affect you. You just want to buy a new car. But if you don't have money, or you don't have a lot of money and you need a car, why would you want to go to the dealership and I know I would say drastically overpay? It's going to be at a minimum probably 20% over what you could buy it from a private party. Okay, so now again, if you're just totally dead set on buying a brand new car, the only place that has a car with 0 miles is going to be, you know, the Toyota dealership or the Honda dealership or whatever. But a lot of these cars are just sitting on the lot. Like, you see all the videos. You go walk around one of these car lots. It's just, you see the prices on the cars. It's like, what the heck? $70,000 for this, you know, car, or $95,000 for this Ford F-150. Who is buying that? Right? That is I mean, it's just a truck for like $100,000. I don't know who's buying that. It might be businesses or company type cars, but still, you know, can you justify spending $95,000 on a truck? I don't know who can. Especially if you're financing it, right? I mean, so the secondhand market is great, right? Because you're dealing with people who have the car, they've already paid for the car new, the car's been depreciated a lot, the car has some amount of miles on it, it might have some amount of very small issues or imperfections, but you're getting a good deal on that car. You're not having to pay the sales manager's salary, you're not having to pay for the dealership, you know, monthly expenses, you're not having to pay for the maintenance people. When you buy a car from a dealership, you're paying for everything, right? the people there have salaries, they're making commission. The corporate entity needs to make money, so you're vastly overpaying for the car. Now you get a new car, or you get a car that's been looked at by the dealership, supposedly, if it's used, but you're really paying for it. And if you're going to finance it, I would argue, maybe take a look at used cars, see what you can find, because it's not a good use of money unless you're a car person or you really want to have a certain car and it's a big part of your life. I think it's a terrible use of money, because the value of the car just keeps going down every single year that you have it. And if you ever do decide you want to sell it, you're going to end up getting a very small amount of the money back that you paid for the car. So the dealership basically makes all the money off of it. And the longer you keep the car, the less it's worth. Even if you don't use it really. Even if you just drove the car 5,000 miles a year and you have a 5-year-old car. Perfect example is my dad he bought a 2017 or 2018 Nissan Maxima, new. I don't think it had any miles on it. He paid like $40,000 for the car back in 2018, something like that. The car is still like brand new. It's just been sitting in the garage. It has 25,000 miles on it. It's pristine, very clean, but it's 5-6 years old. I don't think you could get $20,000 for the car now. You might be able to get like between 15 and 20 for that type of car. Even though it's basically, it looks like a brand new car. It has 25,000 miles on it. It would last a very long time. And, V6, it's the platinum version. All the nice finishes. But the car has already lost more than half of its value in 5 or 6 years, right? So, just goes to show you, if you do have money, who cares? But if you don't have money, look at used cars. Look at cars that you can find. A bunch of cars like what I just said that are 5 to 10 years old that haven't been driven that much, were maybe owned by an elderly person. They were someone's secondary car and they don't have a lot of miles. And you can buy the car outright, not have a monthly payment, and the car will last you, 10 years easy if you just do basic maintenance. So, hey, let me know if you guys buy a car from a dealership or have bought a car from a dealership. Why did you do it? Do you think you got a good deal? That's another question. Do you think you got a good deal buying a car from a dealership, or did you feel like you got kind of took? Once you drove off the lot, you're like, man, did I just pay that amount for that car? And now I got to pay for the next 48 months or 72 months, $857 a month. Oh man, why did I do that, right? So let me know. See you on the next one.